Welcome today, Pallav Tamaskar out of Michigan, who is the founder and CEO of Turgo.ai, Turgo.ai, and he will tell us all about this new company, tech-driven, AI-driven, obviously, and the clients and the industry that he serves. So welcome, Pallav. Very happy to have you today. I was very excited when we had our pre-podcast conversation, learning about everything you're doing and the solutions you provide. So, without much ado, why don't you tell us what got you here?
Francis, first of all, thank you so much for having me on your platform. I'm excited to talk a little bit more about Turgo and what we've been building over the last year. Quick background on myself. I've been in the industry for close to 20 years. Started off my career in the CPG world with the likes of P&G, Kraft, and PepsiCo, from where I moved on to media and entertainment with ESPN and Disney. And most recently, I was in fashion and retail as a CMO for Merrell and Chaco. What got me really thinking about what the industry was missing was an end-to-end solution when it comes to marketing. Now, marketing has evolved a lot over the years. However, it's fascinating to see that some of the tools that we use and the processes that we use are still very ancient, and that does not lend itself to the marketers being operating at their full potential. So that's how Turgo was born with me and my co-founders, where we saw this opportunity of automating the entire end-to-end marketing platform from identifying your ICPs to creating the right content to doing the right outreach in order to get to net new business acquisition. And
Mhm.
that's what Turgo is all about. We serve three different customers, our founders and entrepreneurs as our segment one. Segment two are SMBs, and segment three are enterprises across various industries. So as long as you have a marketing problem, doesn't matter if it's B2B or B2C, Turgo is the solution for you.
Wonderful. Okay, so I appreciate the scoping of the company and positioning it so that our audience can really follow the conversation much better. So, as someone with boots on the ground in the AI space, right? What are the most significant trends that you're observing right now that are truly structuring and influencing what your company, Turgo AI, does?
I'll tell you my perspective as a previous stakeholder, and then also just a keen observer in the industry. We all know that AI has completely changed how we operate as humans and not just as marketers.
Mm.
However, there's a very special nuance that's also happening in the marketing world where most teams are being asked to do a lot more with a lot less. So, this instant pressure of not just evolution, but true transformation has become a mandate for most marketing teams and most organizations. That is the instant pressure that is being felt across industries, doesn't matter what category you're a marketer for. What we're also seeing is AI is changing not just in a monthly or yearly basis, it's literally changing on an hourly basis. And so it behooves us to make sure that we are solving for that key insight and the key pressure point for our marketing teams and our marketers who are the core users for Turgo. And to me, that is where we come in as a product and as a business to help them alleviate this pressure of doing more with less. Because ultimately, what we are creating is actually taking a team from being just marketers to ultimately being super marketers. We're
Mm.
not here to replace humans, we're here to enhance those capabilities and bring in those superpowers so that marketing teams can do the things that they need to do without hiring new people or trying to uplearn skills that can be automated instantly with AI.
Mm. So that's a very good insight. Yes, I can concur from clients that we work with. Um, Big or small, they all have the same pressure right now, absolutely, and need to really amp up their game or change their game to adapt to this new context. So, how do you do this yourself at Turgo.ai? So, tell me how many people work at the company and how those teams that you have live through the same pressure.
Sure.
Describing
Uh,
at the clients. Yes.
Just like most startups, our company started off as an idea at the back of a napkin. From there to really taking that idea, creating an MVP to going into product market fit as of Q4 of last year,
Mm,
we've been scaling up the team appropriately as well. We've been very fortunate that we've curated a list of advisors and our investors. We've been
mm,
able to raise over $1 million through that core belief that what we have as an idea and now as a product is truly viable and truly differentiated. Our investors come from all different industries, be it retail, be it finance, and are often senior leaders in their field. What we've also seen is there's a core need for us to also scale our team accordingly, and we want to differentiate ourselves through the tech stack that we have and the go-to-market that we have.
mhm,
We've been able to take our team from literally three co-founders to now a team of about 50 people, and we're spread globally across the US, Malaysia, as well as India.
mm. So how do you manage this, cross-country, cross-continent team, like virtual teams, and how do you help them navigate through the pressure of constant change, adaptation, and evolution of your offer and your, as you said, your tech stack? Yes.
Things I talk to my teams about constantly is the belief that I share with what Simon Sinek talks about. And that is about playing the infinite game. What that means is, unlike the old days and the previous mindset of having a start point and a stop point, we have come into a situation where once you achieve the quote unquote stop, there's always a new goal in front of you. And so to adapt into that mindset of not just winning and losing, but constantly adapting and being flexible is how we've built a company culture. What we also believe is a high say to do ratio. So while things around us are constantly changing, we empower our teams to make sure that they're championing their ideas, they're identifying the right trends, and then really taking the ownership to bring those to life.
Mm,
That's what's created a USP for us versus some of the startups that have a very finite mindset in terms of what winning looks like. For us, we're playing the longer game and we're playing the infinite game where we want to be relevant to our customers at each point as things change around us.
mm. Interesting. So then, what are your growth levers as a company, and what are the strategies to leverage those levers to get to that next level, which is a forever goal, that's forever evolving goal, I understand. What are your primary strategic levers for achieving your ambitious goal, your global expansion goals into Europe and the Middle East, and yeah, what are the strategies that you've put in place to do this?
Sure. As a marketer, I always boil it down to the approach where, as a human, you start with crawling, then walking, and then running.
Mhm,
We've passed the crawl stage where we have a viable product, we have product market fit. We're in the walking stage right now. And what I mean by that is we have over 30 pilots and over 15 paying customers that are really using our product and seeing real results around it. We have the right case studies across global customers, be it enterprises or be it SMBs. And we now want to really scale that up. So our core focus right now is to raise awareness of the product, but also drive trial so that we can get the right conversion and continue to grow. Now, I'll tell you one of the questions that we've gotten from our potential investors and VCs is the product looks great and I can see why it's differentiated, but do you actually use it for your own growth? And the answer is yes. We use our own platform to make sure that we have the right go-to-market strategy in order to get the right customers.
mhm,
So far, we were very focused on making sure that the product is stable and it's scalable. And we were sort of in a hybrid model of being self-serve as well as the product as a service.
mhm,
Where we will go to in the next 2 weeks is going to be a fully self-serve model that allows us to go into a PLG motion and really democratize the product to get it in the hands of the customers and the users so that they can experience it themselves, which ultimately converts them into paying customers. And that is what our focus is as we go from this walk stage to then finally a run stage.
mhm. Understood. Understood. And there are some There are some specific challenges when you change countries, I suppose, you know. So how do you adapt with regulations, with mentalities? Tell us more about this global expansion. It's one thing to be on the US markets, another one to be on a global market with Middle East and Europe.
Indeed, indeed. I'll tell you, as I sort of alluded to before, our customers span globally. Primarily, the initial customer base was focused on North America as well as India, as we have the right relationships there. But where we really need to go to is also Europe and Middle East. Now, US alone is a massive market. India alone is a massive market. What we've been able to do is really understand the nuances for each of those regions that will give us the right insights to then also adapt our go-to-market strategies for Middle East and Europe. I'll tell you a very, very tactical example. Most of the customers in India, for example, really want a true demo for the product before they sign up and go into a pilot mode to then ultimately a recurring paying customer. In the US, the need very much is I want to get my hands dirty. I want to go inside the product and the platform and play around with it. I don't want a demo. So the approach is different, even though the product is same and the promise is the same.
Mhm,
And that's the mentality that we have going forward, which is we want to adapt our pitch to the customer that we're serving based on the region that they're in.
mhm,
US is tends to be similar to most of the Western European countries. Middle East tends to be similar to what the India market is. And both of those offer massive opportunities. So as we continue to scale in the US as well as in India, we also want to make sure we have the right inroads for Middle East and Europe. But again, through those right nuances and the right insights of how the customer experiences the product.
mhm. So then let's move on to the challenges, you know. Of course, as we know, it's never a straight line, so every entrepreneurial journey has its own obstacles. As you envision this next phase of growth, what are some of the anticipated challenges or bottlenecks that you're actively looking to overcome, whether they are operational, market related that we were just speaking about, or even internal?
Yeah, there's quite a few things that keep me up at night as a founder, as you can imagine. What I feel good about is belief in the product and the validation of the product. So we have something that is special and truly differentiated, even compared to some of the bigger giants in the space. So I feel really good about that. And based on all the validation we've seen, I believe in it. I believe in the team and the structure we bring to the table. So we have our core group of 50 people along with my leadership team. And the leadership team brings a ton of experience, both from the B2B as well as B2C space, in and out of tech. What keeps me up at night is number one, how do we constantly stay relevant? And how do we get our name out there to the customers? There's a lot of noise across the spectrum, doesn't matter what, again, what industry or what category you're in. Everything is based on AI, and there's mass chaos and mass confusion. If you're a stakeholder, you have, at any given day, you have 50 to 100 vendors reaching out to you, pitching their product.
Mhm,
What I see as an opportunity, less of a challenge, is how do we make sure we break through that noise and get to our customer and the right stakeholder
mhm,
through the right channels to make sure that they see the value of what Turgo can bring to the table for them. So
mhm,
that relevance is going to be key in how we continue to sort of create that PLG flywheel in order to get to our right customers and continue growing the base.
mhm,
The second thing is, as things change around us, there's this constant rat race of adapting and leaning into new and different. And while that is true to a certain extent, what is also happening is the gap between the tech space of changing things on an hourly basis and the core consumer or the customer adapting to it is continuing to grow. So while there's a lot of changes happening in the tech world, the customer and the consumer is still catching up to what those technology changes or innovations are. There's a generation gap where people are just now getting comfortable in using things like ChatGPT or Claude. Now, 6 months ago, that was a whole different story. So I want to make sure as we're making progress and staying relevant, we're not ignoring this massive population of people that want a reliable solution, not just new and different, but something that is true and tried, that they can adapt and actually scale their operations successfully. And I want to make sure that we're not losing sight of those. So I will say two things. That is one. And number two is, again, how do we make sure that we continue growing awareness and getting to the customers and the stakeholders to generate trial in order to continue growing our core?
Mm. And you've expressed appreciation when we're discussing, and thank you for those explanations. Sorry, yes, I should have acknowledged. You've expressed appreciation for curating warm leads and developing relationships, with your clients when we're preparing for this interview together. So, how do you see this approach evolving for Turgo as you scale, and what role does it play in overcoming acquisition challenges? Because everybody's chasing those eyeballs and wallets.
Yeah, the simple value proposition that Turgo brings to the table is we create net new business acquisition. So we're not currently going into the game of upsell and cross sell. There's plenty of tools that can do that. But when it comes to net new business acquisition, running your TAM every 90 days, 100% of your TAM every 90 days is something that we offer that makes us truly focused and differentiated. As we continue to evolve, we want to make sure the how part of how this happens is constantly relevant. Again, to the people who have a little bit of skepticism, to people who might not know how to do that, we want to be that solution for them. We also want to make sure that we are focused on automation is almost a baseline at this point, right? So I mentioned at the beginning of our conversation that the process of end-to-end automation is broken. Where we come in is automating 80% of everything that the marketer or the marketing teams do currently, but we're not replacing that marketer. So we're creating super marketers and arming them with the right how so that they can achieve their business goals, which in this case will be closely aligned to what we're trying to do, which is net new business acquisition. So if you're a business, doesn't matter if you're an SMB, a founder, or an enterprise, if you're looking to get net new business acquisition and you want to have confidence in terms of getting to your total addressable market, that's where Turgo comes in and helps you solve that problem very efficiently.
Hmm. Explain it towards the net new acquisition, how you define it.
Net new acquisition is essentially, how do you identify your right ICPs? How do you make sure that you have the right outreach for them? What are the right channels? What is the right messaging strategy? What are the intent signals so that those ICPs are truly warm leads for you? And then ultimately, through that outreach, how do you make sure that that outreach then turns into a true conversion? Where we solve the problem for is taking all of that process and automating it and making it extremely effective. And then where the teams and the organizations come in is as the leads come in and they have an interest, the closing part is still owned by the teams. So we still very much believe in that relationship between a brand and an organization and a customer, where we rely on the marketing teams for that. But where we come in is actually solving the how part, which is the upfront, identifying the right ICPs, the right intent signals, automating the outbound, and then ultimately giving the right leads to our customers.
And would you like to share some numbers in terms of the cost for your customers to use it, or is it too bespoke and case by case?
Sure. So the way we think about what Turgo is we have 5 AI employees. We have an inbound marketer, we have an outbound marketer, we have a paid marketer, we have a voice agent, and essentially the team can come together as a full stack if a team requires the entire
So,
team to come in, or they can pick and choose based on their needs. The number one traction that we've seen so far from our customer is getting that outbound agent. And we've seen success in terms of it, where I'll give you a very tactical example. The open rate for emails tend to be in the 25 to 30%. We're seeing open rates of upwards of 80% based on our approach. We've also seen the efficiency and the effectiveness of our campaigns completely transform the old approaches that the teams were taking by about 4x. So there's real metrics that we've seen, and we have customer references that validate it, that are proving out that the employees that we have are actually making meaningful impact for their teams.
Mm. Those numbers are impressive. The 4x is, explain again, which parameter? I missed
It's
it.
the end-to-end effectiveness. So when it comes
Okay,
to what resources teams are spending, how much time they're spending to get
got it.
from identifying your customer to getting a warm lead, that entire process, we're 4x more effective versus what the teams were doing or what stack they were using before.
Wonderful. Okay, so again, very impressive numbers. Congratulations on this. Your clients must be very happy and faithful to you and loyal to you. Sure. So now, last question, Pallav. If you had a magic wand and you could immediately change one thing within Turgo from, let's say, an operational standpoint or growth lever or even a strategic challenge, like, motivating your teams globally when they are none is in the same office. So what would it be that you would really prioritize using that magic wand to solve it now?
I would say I would want, and I would say it's less of a magic wand and it's more about the mentality that I'm trying to instill in our team is to always look forward. So deliver with executional excellence. We believe in high say-to-do ratio, but at the same time, I want the team to be the champions of what's next. That
Mm,
goes back to the original philosophy that I mentioned of the existential next step, which I want the team to really champion what trends that they're seeing out there and how can we always be ahead of them so that we're not just playing catch up, we're first to market. We
mm,
were very specific when we launched Turgo that we were creating a new category, and that new category is marketing execution. Being a category captain comes with its own pros, but also onuses and responsibilities, right? Where as a category matures and more players come into the space, how do we make sure that we're either continuing to create new categories or we're continuing to expand that category through our thought process and leaning into the right trends so that we're not ever playing a catch-up game. It's more about defining what's next. And
mm.
that to me is the vision that I have for the team.
Wonderful. Okay, it always goes back to behavioral science, right? In a way or another, even in the age of AI. But I appreciate the expanded or the super marketer that you are enabling at your clients. It's wonderful. It is needed. So thank you very much for these incredible insights, for the work you do, for the solutions that you provide. And I hope that we'll have this conversation again in 1 year when you are far ahead with everything you have to have done so far. It's quite commendable. Thank you. This is the end of our podcast now. I appreciate you. So if people want to reach out to you, it's Turgo AI, Turgo.ai. And there's an email which is sales@turgo.ai that you can use. You'll find it on the website. And thank you again, Pallav. Very much appreciated for your appreciative of your time and expertise. Thank you.
Thank you again, Francis. It was a pleasure and look forward to speaking again soon.
You're very welcome. Okay, until soon. Bye bye.
Take care.